This video covers creating scatterplots and creating regression equations for the TI-84 calculator. So if you look in your packet, you'll see a Unit 2 calculator instructions. It has some data on the chest size and weights of randomly selected bears. So first thing we want to do is we want to go into the stat button. We want to hit enter on edit, and we want to put all the information in those two tables into our lists here. So list 1 is the chest size, that's going to be our X variable. List 2 is the weights, that's the Y variable. All right, and before anything else, let's take a look at this scatter plot. We'll see what it looks like. So I'm going to go into stat plot, hit the second key, and then the Y equals button. You can see all my plots are off, which is good. All right, it's also a good idea, just check your Y equals. All right, make sure there's nothing in there. Okay, if there is, you can clear it out. So we're going to access this first plot here. I'm going to hit enter on that, and I'm going to turn it on. And then I want to set up a scatter plot. Scatter plot is that first option there. Okay, so enter on that. It's going to ask us where the two lists are. All right, if either of these is something other than list 1 and list 2, like let's say it's list 3 and list 2, we want to hit clear, second button, and then the 1 for list 1, 2 for list 2, etc. All right, so this is set up at this point. Okay, we're going to hit graph. All right, now a lot of times when you hit graph, it will look like this. Okay, you won't see anything. All right, and if that's the case, hit the zoom button in the top middle. All right, and then 9, right, which is zoom stat. So it's going to zoom to the information in our statistics lists. All right, so here's our scatter plot. We can use this to describe the association, form, unusual features, direction, strength, FUDs. All right, the other thing that we want to do is create the regression equation, which is the line of best fit that goes through all these points. Okay, so let's hit that stat button again, and this time let's go over to calc. Okay, we've been in this menu before when we did one variable stats. All right, that's for one variable. All right, you see two variable stats, but that's actually not what we're going to. We're going to go down, down, down until we see linear regression a plus bx. Okay, you'll see another linear regression up here, number 4. That's not the one we want. We want number 8. All right. It's going to ask where our data is, what list it's in. So hopefully this says list 1, list 2. If it doesn't, you can change it with a second button, and then 1 for list 1, 2 for list 2, etc. All right, go down, hit calculate. All right, and we can see it gives us information on our regression equation. So this form of the equation is just like slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, but they're flipping it around and they're changing some of the variables. So instead of m, we have that b there. So the slope next to the x is 12.38. And then the y-intercept, usually it's the b, in this case it's the a, and they have it in front of that bx. Right, y-intercept negative 251.95. All right, now, really we want a little more information, which isn't here right now, because we need to make one change to the settings in our calculator. So if you already see an r and an r squared right underneath that a and b, you don't have to do these steps. Okay, but if you're seeing what I'm seeing, just that y equals a plus bx, and then a and b, we're going to hit the second key, and then 0 to go into our catalog. And we want to jump to the functions that start with d. So I'm going to go to this button right here, like 2 below that green alpha button. You can see it has a d above it, jumps to those d functions, and then go down until we see diagnostic on. Okay, click enter again, and it'll say done. And then if we go back and rerun that regression, so stat button, over to calc, down to option 8. Okay, when we run it this time, all right, we'll see that r value, that's the correlation coefficient, and the r squared, the coefficient of determination, which we'll learn more about those in the coming days. All right, the last thing we can do is we can actually see what this looks like. So we're going to run this one more time. All right, so same steps. Okay, down here where it says store regression equation. Okay, I'm going to store it in one of those y equal functions up here. So to do that, I'm going to click this vars button, and I'm going to go over to yvars, the menu on the top. Okay, we'll pick function, and let's say we want to store it in y1. Okay, now when we click calculate, right, it's going to take this data and it's going to put it into our y equals. So if we look at our y equals, we can see it was just stored in here. And now when we graph it, all right, we'll see that line of best fit going through the points. Okay, we can trace through these if we hit the trace button just to the left of that graph button. All right, and it goes through each of the points and it tells you what they are. Okay, so moving those arrow buttons gets you from point to point.